So Mr. Dementia has knocked on your front door, family front door, and this is part one. Life is hard for some of us, very hard for some, and a titanic struggle for others. Witnessing the loss of someone's humanity right in front of your face is maybe one of the most confusing anti-human experiences possible, I guess. The person standing in front of you looks the same as they always were. They sound the same, they smell the same, they dress the same, and they mostly just feel the same in the space beside you. Their presence is the same as it's always been with you. And this is because that is a collection of all the memories that you've built and shared over the years or decades of knowing them. They're the same person. They're the ones you love, the ones you care for, the ones you built a life with right here, and you want to keep them in your life. You want to keep them in your life right here, right now. You've invested immense emotion in them and built a bond of love and friendship out of every single brick of memory that you've shared with them. Then Mr. Dementia comes in and starts dissolving some of those memories, and they become different a little bit. Words and some paragraphs are being erased from your own history, like, you know, and there's vague smudges in the pages of the book that you've made together with them. I guess sometimes Mr. Dementia's actually tearing old pages out, you know, of the memory book that you've made with this person. Then of course Mrs. Time comes along and seems to team up with Mr. Dementia, collaborating on a far sadder end to your life. They seem to want to kidnap the original authors of your togetherness, the special nest that you've built, and make themselves a different ending for you. I guess it's not really it's not a horror film that you can like look away from it. There's bad bits coming up, you know. You're forced to like literally watch it play out in front of your eyes. You can't pause it or turn it off or turn your head away. It's relentless, and some think it's like such an evil thing. Dementia, Mr. Dementia, such an evil thing, you know, to happen to humanity. In the beginning, early days, then you sort of just tend to run with it, I suppose. So yes, it's a shock. But what can you do early stages? Because you're literally the same person as you were the day before the diagnosis. Then you get the diagnosis day, and then the day after, you're the same actual person. You can't see any different, neither can anybody else, and there's no difference in you other than this piece of paper that says that you've got dementia. That's all it is. But then some people get a diagnosis and they become, from that moment, literally, they become frozen, or their life is paused in time, in real time, you know. Their life seems to go in like almost a slow motion, and the changes happen unnoticed until something major happens each time, and then they probably feel like they've step down in life's expectation one step. But for me, not for everybody, but for me, if you focus on your problems, you tend to see more problems. You know, one problem seems to give birth to 9 other problems or something. But when you concentrate on possibilities of what you have from that day onwards, what the possibilities of what you can do, and that's when opportunities start popping in there. I guess where there's life, there's hope. For me anyway, there's definitely hope. And following the diagnosis, of course, we might feel that our choices are suddenly very limited. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. There are lots of choices that you can make. You know, you can just do nothing and sit and wait for nature to take its course with you, and for Mr. Dementia to happily jump in the driving seat and drive you to wherever you're going to end up going. That's your choice, like, you know. Me, I don't like Mr. Dementia steering my car. It's my life, so I decided to do it. I'll go up a different road, like, you know. I still feel I got my hand on my own life steering wheel at the moment, and I believe truly, deeply, that is also another thing that's keeping Mr. Dementia outside of the window at the moment. Might not, I know it's not always going to be there, but for the moment he's outside, still outside the car, just reaches in it occasionally through the window. I've got him on a bit of a leash, I suppose, at the moment outside the window, so he can't reach in too far. And I suppose we also have to bear in mind that it's not just us driving, you know, we have passengers as well, our family in the back then, and they're all there to give us encouragement and help. And helicopter, hang on a minute, I'll come back in a second. Okay, so the helicopter's gone, and if you can hear some cheapening noises, that's baby starlings. They've all just come out of their nests locally, I think, and their parents are showing them where the bird feeders are. They keep flying into each other, bumping into each other. It's quite fun to watch, actually. It reminds me of where I'm, you know, what's happening. He's found some, well done. See, he's learned, like, you know, the same as I learned new things. It's all learning new things. You know, they're learning new things to do. They was sat in the nest all quite happily, being fed all the time, like, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, they got kicked out of the nest. There was too many of them, I suppose, used up all the room, and now they're out having to fend for themselves, like, you know, which is a little bit of what we do. We can either just stay there in the nest and give up and not just go out and do stuff, or we can decide on in the morning, get out and do some things. But we've got an army of people sat behind us in this car that we're driving of our life, you know, and they're very supportive, helping, but that's partners, husbands, wives, carers, loved ones, even just really close friends, like, you know. They're all here. Most of them all understand. But we have to fully 100% appreciate that they have a life too. They're driving their own vehicles, you know, and are we as diagnoses sat in the back of their car somewhere, you know, just making a nuisance of ourselves, unwinding the windows when we shouldn't be, pressing buttons that we shouldn't, and things like that. So we have to bear in mind that they do also have a life. They're driving their own lives, like, you know, and they don't, their life isn't all about us, like, you know, they have another life. So I'm gonna stop now because I got something I got to do, but I'll come back in part 2, so I'll call it a day on this one. I'll come back in part 2 where I explain why carers should look after themselves, build themselves up. Anyway, I'll go through that in a minute. Next, part 2.